All right, so we're gonna go through my Gmail API integration for Axiom Workspace. Let's see here. I started the Gmail integration 3 months ago around, and I've been working on that slowly with also other projects. Let's start with one of the first stories I was tasked with, which was to first make sure that the Google accounts sync, as well as send able to send an email from using your Gmail from a contact detail, which is basically from a contact page. I'll show you that in a second. So overview, fixed Google Gmail integration, and I updated the backend code so that it uses MIME-based email sending. All right. So the problem was failing to generate refresh tokens, preventing users from sending emails to their Gmail accounts. All right, so let's see here. I had to set up my own Google Cloud account. So the first thing that I did here was I had to set up a project. So you create a new project. All right. Let's go to API. So you set up a new project, you kind of specify some date, some information, and then you set up basically an API project. So you put your information here. And then one thing we have to do, we have to specify the scopes. So what type of things do you want to do with when you make a Google authentication? So when your email connects, there's the pop-up and you put in your Gmail account. The question is going to be, what data are you trying to get from the Gmail account? So here we have to specify different scopes. Like we want the profile information, so that could include like the person's name and the person's email right here, and then the labels. So you have the different labels in your Gmail. You can have like primary, trash, all these things, okay? And then this will allow you to send emails using their email account, their Gmail account. And then you also got to create a client, okay? Now this is very important because this will specify a lot of things. So here, this is the testing URL that I'm using. This is another one I'm using for testing, okay? Now, the redirect URL is very important. It specifies where in your application is it going to redirect after you open the Google authentication page, because you're going to switch pages, and then it's going to take you back to a certain page. And so this is the page in the project. And then other important informations is like the client ID, and there's like different codes. So this is where I specify URLs and different types of data. So like here we have the client ID. This is like something that we use to verify our Google Cloud account that we're using to send APIs and whatnot. And then this is the return URL that we just saw. basically I added this button to add Google. Now when you click on this add Google, this is very interesting how this works. Okay, so you click on the button, it's gonna go to you, you're gonna choose the account, right? This is still in the testing mode, so it's gonna have this page as well, but normally it wouldn't. And you basically select, these are the scopes. So you gotta say, okay, I accept that the application will use these different parts of my data on my behalf. All right. Now from there, this is where I ran into a bug a long time ago and I fixed it. But basically from there, right? From there, it uses the return URL and goes back to your page. So it's gonna go back to this page. It goes back to this page. Then you see part of the URL had Google in it. We're gonna pass this in the routing here. This is the return URL. Now when it goes to this specific URL, what this tells us is that we're going to use this component and then we're going to pass into this component this piece of data provider. Okay, what that does is it automatically it's going to go to this return parse, because if you go up here, this ng on in it, what it does this is what automatically happens. This is the first thing that runs after the constructor. So it's gonna run this, okay? And then it's gonna take the data in the route. So what that means is that this data in the route, we're passing this data here, okay? Now we're getting the provider, and the provider is Google, okay? So we're gonna go to the return parse. If it's Google, we're gonna get the authentication code. That is part of what the parameters are in when we send back like the URL. Google sends this authentication code that we need to do everything. It's basically we're going to use this code. We're going to exchange it in the back end for refresh tokens and access tokens, and those tokens is what we need to do everything with Google API. All right, so now we're going to go here to parse Google right here. All right, so what this does, we're basically adding, this data in the model, as well as we're sending this authentication back, or this authentication code back to the backend. Okay, so what that looks like, if you go here, let's look at this. Okay, so email provider, that is the controller we're looking for. So let's see here, controller, here we go, email controller, and this was an HTTP post. Okay, HTTP post right here. So it's gonna hit this part of the controller. Okay, it's passing the data this way. Now we're gonna go to this, and what this does, it gets the Gmail account, all right, from the database, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that there's not two accounts using the same Gmail. Because Google, the way it handles pub/sub, it's gonna, let's say you get a email into your Gmail account, right? And then that email, it's gonna send a notification to like the controller in our app, And then we're going to use it to parse. We're going to use what it sends to parse. We're going to get all the information from that email, right? But it gives us actually very limited information. So it gives us basically like the email. After like going through some security stuff, we have to go through some security stuff with authorization tokens, verifying the authorization token, verifying the subscription name. But after that, the only way of knowing who like this person is, you can't have duplicates. For example, if we had the same email, like we wouldn't know if there is like which instance, if we got back a message from the Gmail API that this person got an email, we wouldn't know which instance it is because it gives us just the email name. It doesn't give us like anything. We're not able to customize. So that limits us to only using one account per app, basically. And to summarize what this controller does when we get a notification, we have everything in the body, and then there's a token. Basically, we call this payload. So the data is like a payload, okay? And we're using this authentication token to, then finally, right here, there's two pieces of data. There's the email address and I think the name. But really all we need is the email address. And then it gives us also a token. So there's like an email address and then like a token, like an ID. And now we're using that ID and we're using this email address later on to then call Gmail API to give us the information about this email. So all it does, it just sends us that a token that, yeah, we got a notification, but now we have to actually call Gmail API again to get the actual data. So I'll go through that later. So okay, so going back to this, we get the like our information about this Gmail account in the database. Now, if it's like a brand new account, we don't have this account in the database yet, we're going to create a new one, okay? So we're going to create a new account in the database, or we're going to create a new account first. So what that means is first we're going to exchange this authentication token that we got for refresh tokens. So we're going to have to go through making a request for these tokens, okay? Once we get these refresh tokens and authentication token, we're gonna build the object. So like we're gonna say when it expires, the salt. Then we're gonna use a password and salt. We're gonna encrypt the refresh token and the access token. And then here we have the scope, the token type, email provider, all the different pieces of data we are saving in the object. Once you finish this, we're basically going to add it to the backend, to the database. Okay. Now, and then at the end, it sends back this new object with all the new informations back to the front end. Now, once we get here, we're just going to add it to the model in the front end. And it's going to show a message. And it's going to change the route because the old route had the specification of Google and it had the authentication code that we do not want to keep here. So that's what it's going to look like. It adds the account. It's going to show the little message. This button is very important. Automatically it's on off, but when you turn it on, it's going to automatically sync all of your accounts from your Gmail, from your Google into our database, so that the user will have all of their contacts inside their application for them. Send an email. Yeah, so this is in the background. When we actually got to specify like the scopes, all these different types of data. When we click on that button to open up that Google like pop up to log in. This is like the background what happens. Okay, so sending an email. I can demo this right now. I'm gonna send an email to myself here. So we're gonna send an email. This is some added implementation to detect when the email account credentials have been expired. So we'll come here and it will show like this. So it will be like login again. And so this is a good time to actually show how the authentication works. So you click on that, you click on your account, continue. It loads. There we go, finally. Okay, so alhamdulillah, we have here and now updates. So now I should be able to send an email. Now this time it shows that the email is sent. That means I really did send. Then we get notification. There we go. So another thing that it does, I need to run this project. What this does is it runs through Azure and we just attach a process. And this project, this is always running. Because this part of our project is what we call running in the background. So what that means is that, like, let's say someone gets a notification. Okay, well, if someone's getting a notification, we need to have 24/7, something running and always checking and being ready to receive that data, that the API, payload that has this information, so we can update it inside our database. So I'm starting up the service project. That's what we call the service project. That runs in the background, attaching the process, okay? And through that, every single time, you send an email through Gmail, it will automatically send a packet of data with that, new email that we got. And then it's gonna send us a notification. It's gonna give us like 2 pieces of data, the email and like a token. And using that number, we're gonna make another call to the Gmail API to say, can you please give me the information for this notification? Then with that, we get back the data. So like we'll have like the description, the body, everything about the email. Then we parse it and we put it inside the database. I have to send another email so that it picks up. Let me try. Test async background load. Just send that. All right, so sent the email. We got the email here. Now, all right, let's look at the Hangfire job. These are the Hangfire jobs. What that means, these are like background jobs that occur. Okay, so let's try to sync the subscriptions. See what happens. There we go. So what that does is basically, I'll go through the whole thing. Let me minimize this. So what it does is automatically, when we're creating a new Gmail account, you saw we put in the database. Now our asynchronous background project that's always running, our service project, it periodically runs this job called sync email accounts. So it's going to go inside the database. It's going to look and see, okay, which accounts are not synced, right? So it's going to look at like the different datas. Like, has it been all synced yet? As we use like the different tokens and things we have to go call the Gmail API to say, give me all of the previous emails that this person has still in their account, and we're gonna take all of them, and then we're gonna parse them. Okay, we're gonna parse them. Then we're gonna put it in our database. Google Manager process emails. So that's the function that we're passing to perform the job. What this does, essentially, we're using, the access token. We're using the email, and we're basically making a request to get emails, all the emails from the person's account. And then we put in a list, and then we're going to process them because they're not structured to our database. So we're going to go through each and every single one of them. And actually, the way they send them in the list is like an ID. It's like a list of IDs. And then we're going to use these IDs to then call the API again to give us the data. So like the description, the subject, it's going to all send it here. So we're going to get the full message. Now this full message is what we use to actually convert it to our email structure. So we make it like an email object, and then we put it in there. And then we're going to put it, and then finally we're going to add it to the database once we're done. Yeah, so we have a list of emails. basically we just update it in the database, and then this is this pagination. So like there'll only be so many per API. So we also specified like we only want 10 at a time per API per request. Okay, so then if there's a next page, we'll just call it again. That's for the most part like the implementation. So then yeah, it pulls once we have everything in the database. Now we are able to get it into our app. It pulls it from the database, brings it to the front end. Now has all the emails previously have in there. It's everything is loaded now. So basically, Campaigns, what it does is in a CRM, you want to send a mass email to everyone quickly, and you just use a template. So we can try and show you. So we're going to create a template. I'm just going to call it a test email template. Yes. All right. So say you have a template. I don't know what to say. So you want the person's first name. We're going to add that as a variable. We'd say like hello. Would you like to use Axiom? This is just some random thing. This is my template, update template. All right, now we have this template that we can use, okay? To use in contact and campaigns. So here, these are different campaigns saved here. We can create a campaign now. I'm gonna say demo Gmail. And now add a first step. Let's say send emails to contacts. All right. And so steps basically in a CRM is like, different things you're going to do in a campaign. It's a very simplified way to say it. Okay, so we want to add a prospect list. Let's make a prospect list. I want to send to. Add to prospect list. Okay. You're making this. Do search. Start a meeting. So basically, when you're sending a prospect a campaign, you can specify the dates. This is the template I'm using. Then you can specify which email you want to send from. Like my email, start immediately. Then we saved it. We published the campaign. It's basically gonna send to all the emails in the prospect list. And you see how it works? Let's go. Here it is. And basically this was the value. This is the value. It replaced that value. So it took the data in our email object, it replaced it, put it here. That's how campaigns work. Detect that there was a field in the object. If I type in your email accounts, that's yes. So this right here, this would be updated from the database. It would be false. So, or it would be true. Refresh expired would be true. So that means that it was, expired. But in the front end, in the UI and whatnot, I didn't have anything to actually show that you have to log in again and so we can get a new refresh token. So I added the implementation right here. So it would go through all of the different accounts, and let's see here. We added we went through the authentication process again, and we put in the database. We updated the and got a new refresh token for the Gmail. Then it comes here because it's a subscribe. Now in the front end model, we're supposed to update it, right? Because it's no longer expired. But because there was a bug, it wasn't updating in the front end. So now that it is updated in the front end, then I also added some UI to show that it actually is expired. And I think I showed you that earlier in the project. So it would show as like yellow, it would say warning, you need to log back in, and then it will show a button that says log back in, and then it will take you through the authentication process again. Right here. So like this is a button. Let's say like log back in for your account, and then it will just go to the it will identify which one it is. Then it's gonna go through the authentication again. It's gonna redirect you to this URL, which is basically where you would put your information in, choose which email account and everything like that.